Okay, with a question like this where you've got to draw inequalities, you actually get your first marks just for drawing it as though it's an equation. So to start off with, instead of worrying about x plus y is less than 4, let's just think of that as x plus y equals 4. Think of that as y equals x minus 1, and think of that as y equals 3x. So for each of these, if you want to plot a straight line, you only actually need 2 coordinates for each, and we're going to plot them as equations. Like I say, if you plot them as equations, you're going to get some of your marks just for doing that. So x plus y equals 4. Well, let's just try and think of 2 sets of coordinates. So when x is 0, 0 plus 4 gives you 4, so y would have to be 4. So one point that lies on this line, and there's no particular reason why I've used this, I'm just coming up with a set of coordinates that works for this line. So I know that 0, 4 is one of them. Let's say we find out what x has to be when y is 0, so 4 plus 0 gives you 4, so if y is 0, x has to be 4. Then I have another point, 4, 0, which lies on the line. So like I say, it doesn't have to be these 2 coordinates, but once you've got 2 coordinates, we can be as accurate as we possibly can going through these 2 points. Get that as accurate as we can, and we're going to draw a line straight through it. So, mine's gone a bit weird at the end, but as an example, if you chose a different value of x, let's say you just use when x is 1, you'd be going, right, 1 plus 3 gives you 4, so y would have to be 3. So if you plotted 1, 3, it would still be a point on the line. So any 2 points for a straight line, you can work them out and draw a straight line through them. So like y equals x minus 1, there's 2 ways of doing this. This is in the form y equals mx plus c, so you can either say, right, the y-intercept is minus 1, which is here, and it has a gradient of 1, which allows you to kind of work it out from there. Or you could say, right, the y-intercept is 1, which is to say when x is 0, y will be 0 minus 1 minus 1. So all of these coordinates I've worked out over here. They're to help me draw this line. Now I'm coming up with some coordinates for y equals x minus 1. So let's say, just to show you it works for anything, let's say we chose x as 3. Y is 3 minus 1, y would be 2. So I can plot the point 3, 2. And if I draw this line in, excuse me, right, if I draw this line in, so I'm trying to go through these points as accurately as I can. And again, just as a bit of an extra one, just to show you it works for anything, if I chose x is 6, for example, I'd have y equals 6 minus 1, y would be 5, and when I plot 6, 5, that's another point that the line goes through. So you need at least 2 points to draw the straight line. If you do more than that, it doesn't really matter. So the last one, y equals 3x, well, it doesn't have a plus c value, which lets you know that the y-intercept is 0, it's going to go through here. But let's say, let me just group these together. Let's say we do the other method where we just choose 2 sets of coordinates. When y is 0, so when x is 0 is what I meant, y is equal to 3 times by 0, which is 0, so you know it goes through the origin, 0, 0. When x is 1, y is 3 times by 1, which is 3, so I can plot it at 1, 3, which is this one. So if I join these up, being as accurate as I can. Now it might actually make it more accurate to draw your graph in if you do more than 2 points. You only need 2, but let's say, just to be safe, I do, right, when x is 2, y is 3 times 2, which is 6, so 2, 6, and I have these 3 points, and that might just make it a little bit easier to draw your line in. Okay. On the grid, shade the region that satisfies all these inequalities. Label the region R. Okay, if you're shading a region that satisfies all of these inequalities, if I'm being crude about the way you would do this, like the method, if I'm being a little bit blunt about it, when you draw the lines in, you're generally looking for the area that is enclosed by the lines you've drawn. So for example, in this case, I can tell you that that region there is R. So if you shade that and you label it R, you've got your full marks, you've got your question. So actually the inequalities bit, we just treat them as, drawing straight line graphs, and then the region that's enclosed by them generally is your answer. But if you want to be more careful, the x plus y equals 4, which is this line, is a less than, so we shade the bit below that, which is this bit. Y is greater than x minus 1, which is this line. Because it's a greater than, you'll see that we've shaded the bit above that. And y is less than 3x. This is y equals 3x. Because it's less than, you'll see that we've shaded the bit below that. But again, in general, if in doubt in your exam, draw the lines as if they are, just replace the inequalities with equal signs, use coordinates to draw them all in, make sure you get at least some of your marks, and then when it says label the region R, you're looking for the enclosed space generally, okay?